State's Ethics Board met again today for the first time since the Vito Lopez report was made public. The group has come under fire from lawmakers and the public for not investigating Speaker Sheldon Silver for his role in the matter. Silver himself had admitted to trying to keep the payments of the accusers quiet. Capitol Correspondent Pat Bailey was at today's meeting where he says not a whole lot took place. Is that correct, Pat?
Well, Jerry, absolutely correct. That's because the state's ethics board that was put together to generate transparency in New York State spent 3.5 hours behind closed doors. When they emerged, I tried to find out if Speaker Silver was ever the source of an investigation and whether or not an investigation into him was ever blocked or vetoed. However, I could not get a straight answer.
2 weeks ago, the state's ethics body, the Joint Commission on Public Ethics, released its scathing report of Vito Lopez. It also accused Assembly Speaker Sheldon Silver of trying to cover up the scandal, something the Speaker recently admitted to. That prompted many within Silver's own Assembly House to say the Speaker himself should be investigated. I asked why he wasn't.
It provided details into the workings of government, and it achieved the kind of transparency that the legislature and the governor intended when they created our body.
But the report JCOPE Chair Daniel Horwitz referenced is specific to Vito Lopez. It does mention Speaker Silver, briefly. However, some lawmakers want a full investigation into the Speaker's actions to see if there have been other cover-ups. There can only be two reasons why there was not. Either no one asked JCOPE to do the report, or 3 members of the board vetoed it, something that the bylaws allow for. Speaker Silver himself appointed 3 members to JCOPE.
Should Speaker Silver be investigated? Did somebody call for that?
The report speaks for itself.
So nobody asked specifically for the Speaker to be investigated?
As I said, the unanimous report speaks for itself. It is a fact that the governor and the legislature make appointments to the commission. As I said, the report itself was unanimous. That means all of the commissioners supported the report. All right?
Was the report vetoed?
Guys.
Was the report vetoed by... Now, we may never know if there was ever an intent to investigate or veto an investigation of Speaker Silver. That's because when JCOPE discusses investigatory matters, they do so behind closed doors in executive session. Tonight at 6:30, I take a look at the transparency of JCOPE and discuss it with the former head of a former state ethics body. Jerry?
Pat, just curious, anything come out of today's meeting agenda-wise? What's going to be next?
Well, not much that we know about. JCOPE, as we mentioned, went into executive session for 3.5 hours, and then when they did come out, the chair said, quote, "We voted on several investigative matters and approved some settlements," end quote. However, there were no specifics as to what those investigations or settlements were, and unfortunately, under JCOPE's bylaws, we cannot foil that information.
All right, another door closing in our face. I guess we know you'll keep knocking on it. Thanks, Pat. Our fact finders did some digging into the commission. It has 14 members, 3 of them appointed by the temporary president of the Senate, and 3 by the Speaker of the Assembly. 1 was appointed by the minority leader of the Senate and 1 by the minority leader of the Assembly, and 6 by the governor and lieutenant governor. As